Trekkies. Hi, so not really much news. As you see the title, it's going to be more old school versus new school, and it's going to be me comparing and contrasting. A bit of news, there's a Season 12 Reckoning developer Q&A, and unlike when I see this done on World of Warcraft, I haven't seen a fan site that like lists all the questions and then the answers. It's just, watch this 2-hour YouTube video. And I'm like, there ain't anything I'm doing long enough in my life right now that I can just sit and let this thing roast for 2 hours. Well, I try to pick and choose when they're like, So, I ain't gonna deal with that. If you guys got an idea where like the developer Q&A went through and someone went like typed up the questions and then typed up the answers in a various format and it's in a public place, not your Fleet forums, please comment below. I'll thumbs it up so that it gets put to the top. So also, we're having a dilithium weekend. We will have so this next weekend will be a dilithium weekend. 100% bonus on ore from daily mining missions. Bonus to all rich dilithium claims on Vlugta. Fleet dilithium mine, 100% bonus on dilithium ore daily missions. Everywhere else, 50% bonus dilithium ore. Dilithium rewards from completing event reputation products no longer receive a bonus. This excludes event reputation projects. Right. Event reputation versus normal reputation. And then the key sale has been extended until Thursday. Signs Importance will have its week 2 stuff out, which is more of that weird set. Like we're gonna have the Lucarii rep set, and then this mission has its own set, which the event ship comes with this set. So you get the event ship, which has the warp core for this 3-piece, 4-piece set that's here. So like the 2 pieces, increased perception, flat aux power, and an aux power bonus that scales off your current auxiliary power. Oh yeah, right. 3-piece provides engine power, impulse expertise, reduce the cooldown on transwarp. I don't even transwarp that often. Why do we need a cooldown on transwarping? I can transwarp so many places I don't even use it that often. And then the 4-piece bonus is a cross-wiring, decrease the lockout duration on shield loss safeties, a passively triggered buff on the shield, and increases the effectiveness of micro pulse overcharge and active power on the engine. So yeah, that's that. What did I think of Signs Importance? Cool. I mean, Zenkathi aren't that hard to kill, at least the ground guys. Oh, I should talk about, speaking of like old and new, they're still like screwing things up to the point where it's like, I don't think we've had a smooth battlefield, battle zone launch. So at least there's consistency. Yeah, there's an issue causing it not to reset once the final boss was defeated. There's also an issue where even if you start a new one, you can't claim the little 3 in the center. For some reason, I've seen them at 100%, defeat this, blah, 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 nothing. They're constantly like under threat. They're never reclaimed, so you can't ever finish a battle zone. So we've got that. So the reason why it spawned my thoughts of old and new is the fact that someone in my fleet called them instances. I'm gonna run some instances. I have played Star Trek since the beginning. Nobody calls them instances. People in WoW call them instances. I think people from that weird EverQuest game way back when, I think they may have called them instances, but I'm not sure they actually had it. They just called them raid groups because everything was in the world. Asheron's Call, I think, had something like that. Blizzard popularized the hell out of it, where you go inside a portal and it leads to a dungeon, and you can have several instanced forms of it. And so it just reminded me of the sector map thing, the blog post. Now you may want to look at this. It just goes to show how old school it used to be, where we had like an alpha and a beta quadrant. I mean, we still do. But it was the fact that in its entirety, there was 36. Sorry about the jump there. I literally just counted. There were 36, and I probably could have done this by counting the sector blocks. Actual like little sector square things. And then the sector blocks all depended on, like there were 3 that were cubical, but most of them were either a 3 by 1 or a 1 by 3, which is the same thing, just horizontal. And before, you couldn't get from the Mempa sector to the Malasa sector going directly. They added that one in later. Like, ugh, that is weird. So you'd have to go from Mempa, way over here, through Hiromi, through the Zaratines, to the Kasei sector, to the Sela sector, to the Argela sector, to the Hiralan sector, to the Oraria sector, when they're literally like right here. But you had to go out and around because there wasn't anything connecting them. They finally connected them with like a jump through, but then they added in Legacy of Romulus and they put in a sector block in between. So that helped connect that stuff. And I think that was about the time they added in the Breen, was when they connected the thing on the side, because the Breen and the Deferi had their own, but the Breen and the Deferi were in a weird spot because you could go from Eta Eridani over to Breen space and then go down from Breen space and get to Beta Ursay, which is where Bajor was. And it was like, how does this, like, nothing, because they were all separate maps that didn't make any sense. Now we have just like giant blocks. The sector blocks are still here. You can kind of see them on the new map, because how it shows is star system, point of interest, duty officer assignments. I mean, this is a giant map. The Alpha Quad, like you can just, I know it looks weird, but I just want them to go kung kung, you know, and slide it into place. Now, I completely understand keeping an Alpha Beta quadrant. I know there's probably someone out there that just went, man, I wanted to, no. It's because if you have that, you have so many people in a zone chat. The thing, I understand people turn off zone chat at this point, but that's a lot of people on one zone, one shard, one server, one instance, whatever you want to call it. So this allows it to work better in RAM if you have to go through a loading screen. And I'm still fine with like the 3 that we have. The Alpha Quadrant, the Beta Quadrant, and then the 6 in the Delta Quadrant. And like I said, and I brought this up before multiple times when it comes to old school versus new school. Like the skills and stuff is just not even, you know, and I bite my tongue when I hear people talk about how hard and confusing the game is right now. But I'm certainly sitting here just like, click, click, click. And I look over here and I read Fleet Chat and go, like I have to take a break and just like not read it. We're talking like way back when the game came out, there wasn't a parser. There was, I mean, you still don't really have effective damage meters at this point. There is no in-game way of it doing it. You have to have something, you have to have a third-party program that's not in the game. Like WoW has Recount and SCADA and other things that kind of show up within your game environment, and they can read something in the game environment. This is something on your computer reading your game environment. There's flaws with it, even though it's reading numbers and calculating it. You know, I've literally seen 2 people have different parses in the same instance. Like, people posted it like, no, mine says mine's, and this happens with Recount, this happens with SCADA, this happens all the time. This happens on WoW, this happened in so many other MMOs I played where people calculate damage, and then these 2, like the 2 people that ran the parser, this was 3 years ago, before I started playing football, they got into a fight. Like, they were screaming, the instance was over. They were talking to each other, like the thing was counting down. The little thing like leave map was counting down. Oh, it was a crystalline. Crystalline, that's what it was. And it just, because they had 2 different, because something happened and they just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know enough about the parser. It's just so many people put so much into your parse at this point that it's such variable data that you can get. That's what's up with that. Way back when, like I said, we had such little ships. Now, like, everybody has a different ship, yada yada. I got complimented that are like, that ship is badass, and I'm like, if you play it right, and we're talking about my Anoraks here, and they're like, that ship's badass, and I'm like, yes, but you gotta do it quite right. I don't think the Anoraks would work very well if a tactical officer picked it up and tried an A2B build on the Anoraks. I just don't think that would work. And there are people that are just like, nope, A to B works. Every ship, every pilot always works. It's the best build out there. And I'm just like, you are a sheep. They're like, I swear to God, 3/4 of the people that use A to B build don't even know how it works. They're just such sheep. And other people have been, and then like the other quarter of the people, and then like 90% of the people that say they know how it works don't really, like they can read a tooltip, but they don't really get it. And like the one person that makes it really understands how it works is like the person that made it. And I don't even think that person plays anymore. I don't use an A to B build, that's expensive. But there are people that like get angry if they can't vendor enough things, and they go into Foundry stuff to get more stuff to vendor so they can get more EC so they can buy the technicians. Thanks for removing the economy, but some people strive so much, minuscule increase, and they literally turn into terrible people. And that really didn't exist for like the first year of Star Trek Online. There weren't that many people, and it was a new game. People didn't want to, you know, like everybody tried it, and then like the population took a dip. And then they started putting, you know, there's no fleet bases, there's nothing, there was no, just bullshit. Like you had to create your own fleet channel. There was no fleet channel. You had to create an OChat channel for your fleet. The only thing a fleet did was have an extra name above your thing. That's it. That's all they did. You know, I like the game as it is now. Then there's the people who are like, I liked it better when before Romulans. Like, Romulans have always been in the game, but I understand what you mean. I don't think anybody will look at that sector map and be like, I want to go back to that. I want to go back to the point where Klingons had to, like Klingons were, like, they had to take a transwarp. They had to, it was screwy, because they couldn't get to Deep Space Nine. Once they finally added in the Deferi area, then the Klingons could finally move to get to Deep Space Nine without, like, leveling up their, you know, rating and getting the transwarp to Deep Space Nine. But before that, they couldn't pass through it because, you know, or someone up there had to give them diplomatic immunity so they could fly through Federation space, which is the Sirius sector block, which is Vulcan or Orion and whatever one rises in the Risa sector block. But like that was a Federation only. You had to get permission. Like they could go up to the Romulus because the Regulus sector block was contested, and they could fly through that. But they couldn't fly through Federation space. Like, Klingons were all screwed up. And it shows here that there's a little meat over to the, you know, Gamma Orionis sector block. Well, there wasn't enough people with ratings, so they had to put in a transwarp gate over an Omega Leonis, Klingon space, so that they could get to Omega, so they could get to the endgame content without having to have their rating party, their rating skill up rating. Like, I'm RAIDING. You know, to get up there so they could use diplomatic immunity so that they could get to the transwarp gate in Federation space. This game was heavy Federation. It still is, but it's not so much. I mean, Klingons can fly anywhere now. Romulans can fly anywhere now. You know, it's because we have the Alliance now. But, you know, let's take a trip down memory lane here. What do y'all remember from when you started? Like, if it was like a couple months ago and things have changed drastically, what do you remember? Maybe it was like way back in the dirt days, like me. I'm actually kind of curious. What do you miss from those days? The only thing I miss is the fact that people didn't have a parser. And people actually, you know, people are like, wow, you're probably, I mean, once the parser came out and started becoming more widely used, people started hating on science vessels. Before, they loved them. And it was like, it's so stupid how much a simple program can cause people to just be so hyphenist, damagist, elitist. You know, once they have numbers to denote who's better at one thing, it immediately like creates a hierarchy. And it's just like, oh my God. I hate to say this, but one of the things I do that's really good with my science vessels doesn't show up on parsers. I mean, it does show up on parsers, but it shows up for other people. Because when an enemy doesn't have shields, that means my teammates are doing more damage to this thing. Which, technically, any bonus damage they do, because the shields are down, is my damage. Because without me, they would... See what I mean? But people don't realize that because they only focus on the number. They don't think about, you know, like warp core breaches. Warp core breaches don't get tagged to anybody. But I guarantee you, in some of the older, like 20-man instances, I would blast the hell out of one of the big ship with a gravity well around the little, like Borg. Like a Borg ship will blow up and then the gravity well will pull all its little things inside and then it'll blow up a second time and kill all of them. Guess what? All those things died. I didn't get any damage on the parser because the Borg ship did the damage. So you see why, this is why I don't like parsers. I mean, even, and Recount or SCADA or anything would probably have an issue with that one because the combat log doesn't list it as that. But anyways, I've ranted. I didn't mean to do that. Last thing, shit, the Zenkethi front and gravity kills. I don't know how many of you have done this. I don't know how many of you fall into, when it comes to gravity kills, that was actually a really bad joke. How many of you actually succumb to, no, that's still not bad. There are times in Zenkethi Front Basic, or the one advanced that I did that people didn't immediately abandon because they saw a science vessel, people focus that they need to get the bomb and then take it over. Like, I seriously grabbed a bomb because I blew up one of the ships and I grabbed the bomb and I flew out to a base. Well, the thing is, you can't channel launch bomb while you're being attacked, so I had to kill everything around there. 2 other teammates came in with bombs and sat there doing nothing but being attacked and trying to heal themselves. Finally, when I started, you know, I used my projected singularity and threw it and got everything far enough away, they blew it up. I'm sitting there with a bomb! Again, it's ranting, but the thing is, it's like, help a teammate out. If you see someone with a bomb running towards a base, go aggro everything. That's it. Aggro everything, because the person just can't get hit with a weapon or a stray bullet or a stray cannon. Anything. They cannot get hit or it will stop channeling. Just aggro everything, pull it away, you know, make sure they focus on you. You don't need threatening stance, just evasive maneuvers and get there before they do, and do a couple bit of AoEs and then maybe fly away, for Christ's sake. Then things will follow you and the person can go there and blow up the base. You don't need to kill everything and you don't need to drop off bombs yourself. It'll help things go faster, especially if you're a DPSer or you're a tank. Don't think it's your sole job to take a bomb. In terms of gravity kills, you know, be nice if people, you know, did something in that. All the times I've been in there, oh shit. There's like someone constantly like they're always falling. Like, you've seen it. They'll go in and they'll start DPSing, and they'll turn around, and then I'll see them warp. And then they'll come in, they'll DPS, like they don't realize that there's a pull mechanic. Like we had one guy in one of the tier 6 assault cruisers, dying. I swear to God, he died 12 times in a normal. And it's just like, they're like, they'll pick up the Hawking particles, and then they won't go anywhere. Because they're too busy shooting stuff, and then they'll fall into the black hole. Or they'll just sit there and not do anything. We lost the optional once because nobody was defending the shit. It just seems like there's a lot more lazy people nowadays. Selfish and lazy. They're only out for themselves, and then they want to do as little as possible. Which seems to be general humanity. I get it. But this video's been longer than I thought. We'll catch you guys next week. Hey, let's start discussions downstairs. I mean, I know people watch, but again, selfish. I've noticed a lot of people these days, at least on YouTube, all over the place, they watch, but they don't interact. I understand that it acts a lot like television to a lot of people, so they don't think they can interact. I mean, I bet you, I swear to God, if Once Upon a Time or had a comment box, oh shit. I understand on live streams I don't get involved, especially when there's like 10,000 people watching a live stream, because you open up the live stream and just, and you're like, there are words there. I can't read any of that just because so many people are trying to chat and they're trying to get their word in. I have to get going. I have to do stuff. I will catch you guys next week, how everything's going with the anniversary event. Maybe I'll give some tips and tricks on how to do Omega Shard stuff. That'll help. All right.